What's up, YouTube? And welcome to Travel Adventures with Eric B. And we're going to talk about 12 things that you should know before you come to Chicago. Now, this is only the second time I've been to Chicago. Today, I have a very special guest who lives here in Chicago, who knows a lot more about the city than I do. Who do we have here?
Hi YouTube, it's Eliz from Means to Travel. And yes, I live here, I grew up here, and I'm happy to help out Eric and learn about Chicago today.
And you may remember Eliz and Derek, they had a video on my channel back in December, back in New Orleans, so got to meet them up here in Chicago, and we're going to talk about things that you should know when you come here to Chicago.
Let's do it!
I'm Eric B. from Travel Adventures with Eric B. If you're new here, I offer travel advice. I'm a solo traveler, and I do vlogs to help you travel better and more efficiently. Chicago has two major airports, O'Hare International Airport, which is the biggest, and then there's Midway, which is a smaller airport, but still big. And both O'Hare and Midway have the CTA train called the L, which is basically their version of the subway or metro, and it's very convenient. It will take you to most of the spots you want to get to in the city, most of the tourist areas in particular. So you're looking to get to the city center of Chicago, you can get there from either airport pretty easily.
The next point that I'm going to share about is that Chicago has an outstanding public transit system. It's one of the best in the United States. And regardless of where you want to go throughout the city, you can take either the train or the bus and pretty much get anywhere. There's a few caveats that I want to say. So the first thing is if you're planning your trip to Chicago via air and you are landing at one of the two airports here, you can take the subway system, which is called the L train, from either the Chicago O'Hare Airport or Chicago Midway. Midway is the orange line, O'Hare is the blue line, and all of them take you directly into the city. All of the Chicago L trains will meet up in the loop basically, which is great because there's such a centrally located city center, unlike some other cities. And then on top of that, there's the bus system that pretty much goes all over. So from where I'm standing right here in Millennium Park, I can basically jump on a bus and go all the way up to the Lincoln Park Zoo, all the way up to the North Avenue Beach area, or just any other neighborhoods in the city. The caveat I want to say about the bus system though is that it is a little bit complicated, and in my personal opinion, as a Chicagoan even, I find that the maps are not super forthcoming with information. So one of the tips that I have for visitors is to download the transit app on your phone and be able to map out from where you are to where your destination is what the best public transit option would be. Also, Google Maps can do that too sometimes. So make sure though that you have something on your phone so you can map yourself from point A to point B. With that, Chicago is also known for having an outstanding Amtrak hub here in the city. So if you're coming in from other places via the train, there are tons of direct train lines and train lines via Amtrak that get you to other parts of the United States. So we have a really great rail system here, and something for all train enthusiasts and just tourists to explore.
Next thing you need to know when you visit Chicago is you got to visit the incredible Buckingham Fountain. And make sure you visit Cloud Gate, more popularly known as the Beam. We don't know how long Cloud Gate's going to still be around, so you got to visit it when you come. Buckingham Fountain is so impressive. My favorite television show of all time is Married with Children, Al Bundy. And Buckingham Fountain is the famous fountain that you see at the beginning of the song during the Love and Marriage video. This fountain is absolutely incredible to see in person, so I highly recommend. You got to go see Buckingham Fountain, and you got to go see Cloud Gate, and both are located right near Millennium Park, which you should be going to see anyway if you're visiting Chicago.
All right, and the next point I'm going to be talking about is everybody's favorite topic, food. So when you visit Chicago, you can basically find food options at any budget level that you have. So there's the very classic Chicago dishes that you can typically find at different places around the city, such as Italian beef sandwiches that you can dip. There's also Chicago-style hot dogs, deep dish pizza, etc., etc. I even like Portillo's cheeseburgers and cake shakes. But you can find different Chicago authentic, iconic foods at lower budget levels, and that way you can eat great on a budget. But if you're wanting to splurge, this is totally a gourmet food city as well. We have Michelin star restaurants here. There's Alinea, which is super well known around the country for having a really cool like gastronomy type meal that you can get. But make sure you get reservations plenty far in advance in order to get in there. And then also too, we have this area that is like this triangle area just north of River North. Not sure what the official name of it is, but you go there and there's Gibson Steakhouse over there, Tavern on Rush, Velvet Taco, and so many great restaurants up there. A little pricier, but definitely worth it if you feel like getting really fancy when you're here in Chicago.
Next thing you should know about Chicago is you should know about the architecture. One of the best things you can do in the city is to take an architectural boat tour. There are incredible skyscrapers, new and old skyscrapers alike. You'll get to learn the history from an expert who's been in Chicago in a relaxing setting that you'll truly enjoy. I highly recommend taking an architectural boat tour. Not just the big homes in Chicago. Another thing that makes Chicago very unique is its architecture of homes, not just the big buildings. When we talk about the skyscrapers and all, the houses in Chicago and the neighborhoods are very, very unique, very eclectic. This is not the type of homes you see all over the country. Aside from New Orleans, I would say that Chicago's probably got some of the most unique homes in all of America. Extremely unique buildings.
And I'm here to talk about the next points about visiting Chicago. So I'm from Chicago. I grew up going to all of the world-class museums here, and there are so many fantastic museums to choose from if you're visiting Chicago. Some of my favorites are the Field Museum, which is kind of like our natural history museum. And there's the Shedd Aquarium, which be sure to kind of like splurge and get the extra ticket price on top to go to the Oceanarium, because you can go see the dolphin show there, and the dolphin show overlooks Lake Michigan. It is amazing, so much fun. And then also on top of that, in that museum campus area, there is the Adler Planetarium too, so you can go learn about outer space and all of the world beyond this planet. With that, there's museums all over the city too. So some other ones, there's one that's directly behind me that's very popular to go to, and that is the Art Institute of Chicago. It's situated in the middle of Millennium Park, so really easy if you're already going to be going to visit the Bean or anything that's around the Loop area. So whether you are an art fan, somebody interested in science, speaking of Museum of Science and Industry, which is further down south, that one is outstanding too, especially for kids. They have a great kids interactive exhibits and stuff like that. But anyway, regardless of if you're interested in science, history, Chicago culture, art, etc., there is so much to do and see here when it comes to museums, and great for escaping that brutal Chicago winter weather.
Another thing that you should know about Chicago is there's a lot of things that you can do in the city for absolutely free, including going to the Lincoln Park Zoo. Absolutely free. You do pay to park, but you don't have to drive. The Lincoln Park Zoo has been around since 1868. It is one of the absolute best free zoos you're going to find around. This place has polar bears. Not a whole lot of zoos you can find polar bears. Over 1,100 animals, over 200 species, and it's 35 acres. This is definitely one of the best free zoos around, and you definitely need to take advantage of it when you come to Chicago. Really nice space. A lot to do, really spread out, a lot of animals, great environment. Next thing you should know is you should check out the festivals, in particular during the summer in Millennium Park. Now, there are lots of festivals you can go see in Chicago, not just during the summer, but mainly in the summer, mainly in Millennium Park. And lots of them are free. Not all of them, but many of them are. Now, the most popular of all is the Taste of Chicago Food Fest, where you can try all types of amazing dishes during the summer. And you do have to pay for that festival. Make sure you're checking out a schedule of all of the amazing festivals within the city, because there's so many to go check out, and so many of them are absolutely free. The next thing you should know is you should explore the Chicago Riverwalk and waterfront. You can take a boat and architectural tour, which is fantastic, or you can just stroll around and enjoy the beautiful public space, the 1.25 mile Riverwalk. Chicago's Riverwalk and waterfront. Enjoy the beautiful Lake Michigan and Chicago River as they intersect. You can have a drink with some friends and have a good time and enjoy your meal right on the river. You can do some shopping, events, public art. Landscape is incredible, but it's a fantastic place to hang out with friends and just sit back and admire the scenery and the beautiful architecture and landscape and have a really good time going down the Chicago River Walk. Great place for shopping and enjoying and just hanging out. Highly recommended by me. I would definitely recommend going to the River Walk. 10 out of 10. And like I said, 1.25 miles, a lot to see and do. Next thing you should know is that the city has so much amazing parks and green space. I kind of touched on it in the last number. There are parks and green space everywhere within the city, which makes it perfect to come out with your family, your friends, and just enjoy yourself. You can go skateboarding, you could go riding your bikes, but you can really have a good time just walking around the waterfront, as I mentioned earlier, just enjoying the amazing green space. The city has lots of beautiful parks.
The last tip that I'm going to be sharing for Eric here about Chicago is when you are visiting, definitely, without a doubt, be sure to check the weather forecast before you come. And honestly, do it at the beginning of each day, check the hour by hour, so you kind of know what to expect. So the weather here can be extremely unpredictable. I'm standing here in the summertime and it's so comfortable today. We've chosen a beautiful day for filming and exploring. But that being said, not every day is like that here in Chicago. In the wintertime, it can get below 0 in temperature, and in the summertime, it can get all the way up to hundreds and above. So it really ranges, and it's very hard for anyone to tell you what the weather is even likely going to be during your visit, regardless of what time of year it is. Also expect for rain showers here and there. Carry an umbrella with you when you go around the city. And if you're going to be staying by the lake, there's two things I want to talk about. First, there's lake effect weather, which we're right on the shores of Lake Michigan, which is one of the Great Lakes, and there's weather systems that arise from being close to such a large body of water, just like you would find within like coastal areas off of oceans. So there might be things like lake effect snow, where it might be snowing right around the lake area, but not further inland. So be sure to check the weather of exactly where you're going to be. Even down to the zip code can be really nice to get that granular. On top of that, there can be wind tunnels galore when you are downtown. The wind gets so strong, there's a wind chill in the wintertime that can make it feel 20 degrees colder than the actual temperature outside. It is the Windy City, even though it's not technically named the Windy City because of the wind tunnels. It's kind of in addition to the fact that we have just such strong winds, especially in the wintertime, and they can be chilly. So be sure to bundle up, bring layers, check the weather.
The next thing to know, and this might catch you off guard a little bit, you'll see the city flags so often everywhere. There's so much pride in their city. Of course, there's a lot of pride in their sports teams and a lot of support for the Cubs, who took 108 years to win a World Series. And of course, there's Michael Jordan's Bulls that put that franchise on the map permanently. But that city flag you will see everywhere. There's so much pride in the city. Now, my bonus tip is going to be crime, because this is a big topic. Now, if you're coming to visit the city of Chicago, you may have heard that Chicago has a very high crime rate, and it does have a very high crime rate. However, if you're in any big city anywhere in the country, you know, you need to take the same precautions you would take in any other big city, and I would take that in Chicago. But I will say this, Chicago's a really big city, so, you know, they do a really good job, the police force and everything, of you know, protecting the tourist areas. And you're going to be in the tourist areas. You're not going to be in the areas that most of the crime is going to take place in. So I'd say just get out and enjoy life and enjoy yourself. Don't worry about that. Just make sure you protect yourself. Don't leave stuff in your cars, you know, for people to break in and do things. Don't leave your cars open, you know, watch your back. Put your wallet in your front pocket, all the same things you would do anywhere else, and you'll be fine. So I wouldn't be too scared of the crime in Chicago. Just make sure you talk to your concierge and everything at your hotel to make sure you're staying in the right areas and everything, and that you're not straying out into, you know, too sketchier areas and everything like that, and you'll be just fine. Make sure you visit my friends on YouTube at Means to Travel, Instagram at Means to Travel, and Mr. Means to Travel, and also Means to Travel on Facebook. And that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I ask that you please hit the like, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the bell notification so you can know when I have more material coming out in the future. Help us to continue to grow as a travel community. And as always, remember, live today, grow today, tomorrow's never guaranteed. Peace and travel. Lots and lots of travel. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the like, share, subscribe button, leave any comments below. I love to interact and help us to continue to grow as a travel community.